Now, many people believe that because of our circumstances, because of the government, because of the system, we can't have freedom. And they're right. We can't have freedom, but we can be free. Now, these two statements, they may seem pretty similar, but upon closer examination, we find that the two are worlds apart. Because freedom, it isn't something that can be had or owned. It's not something that can be locked in a drawer, tossed in the back of a closet, and forgotten about. Because freedom is an action. Freedom is something that is won, that is earned, and that is fought for. And freedom isn't preserved by the appeals of politicians battling at the pulpit, but rather by the simple everyday heroism of people like you and me who are willing to stand for what we believe in. President Ronald Reagan once cautioned us, quote, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream, and the only way for them to inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lesson of how they, in their lifetime, must do the same. And if you and I do not do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free, end quote. But that is not the future that I see for our nation, because freedom stands as an indomitable wall between America and tyranny, shielding us from the relentless threat of oppression and slavery. We are free as long as we choose to be. So the question we now must ask ourselves is, how do we best preserve the liberty we enjoy? And the answer is outlined very clearly by our founding fathers. The First Amendment may appear to be a list of freedoms guaranteed and protected by the federal government. But in reality, the First Amendment is much more than that. The First Amendment is a set of guidelines designed by our founding fathers to aid us in the retention of our freedom, designed to help us navigate the oppressive systems that can be found everywhere else. Freedom is a choice, and it's a choice that our founding fathers gave us the ability to make. You see, it simply doesn't matter if the government stops us from speaking, from publishing, from petitioning, from assembling, or from worshiping. If we, the people, aren't willing to speak our minds, to publish the things we think, to petition for redress, to assemble with our fellow citizens, or to worship the God we believe in. And people who would abuse the system that we enjoy, people who just want power, they understand this as well. And they realize that the only way they can take our freedom from us is if we willingly relinquish it. Harriet Tubman once said, quote, "I freed 1,000 slaves, but I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves." End quote. Now, that's the predicament that our nation is in danger of falling into today. Many of us simply don't realize that in order to preserve our freedom, we have to use it. That we have a responsibility to our friends and our families, to our fellow citizens, to fight for the freedom we hold dear and to fight for the cause our ancestors died for. Einstein said, quote, Freedom, in any case, is only possible by the constant exercise of it. End quote. Our liberty is preserved by those who are willing to stand in defense of their faith, their family, and their freedom. So I urge you all to speak and to publish, to petition, to assemble, and most importantly, to worship. I implore you not to have freedom, but instead to be free. Thank you.